All right, so tonight I'm cooking some noodles, but there's something missing. Cooking up these kai dong noodles. I think this is a Taiwanese style noodle. It's flat, it's squiggly, it's delicious. For the protein, I will be doing a half-boiled egg. This is gonna be a different style noodle dish. So there's not gonna be any broth, but there will be a lot of toppings. I'm gonna put some tomatoes on there. I'll have some kale. This is some leftover kale I wanna use. Some green onions. And for the flavors, I've got the kai dong chili oil, super spicy, so beware. The scallion sauce, which is delicious. It's like a soy sauce. It's salty, and both of these are amazing. Of course, some salt and pepper, but there's something missing, and it's these shallots. I'm gonna show you why this has been the secret to the noodles that we've been eating in this house for a while. Kai Dong is this company that Tiffy cooks. Shout out Tiffy Cooks. She created this company that has these noodles, and there's all these sauces, but there's one sauce that's missing. I don't even have the bottle because I love it so much and I use it all the time. And it's the golden shallot oil, and it's sold out, so I can't even buy anymore. So I thought today I'm going to make this for the first time. I'm pretty confident I can do it. I've looked at the ingredients on the Tiffy Cooks website, or the Kai Dong website specifically, and it's pretty basic. It's mostly shallots, and I looked up a whole bunch of videos. So I'm gonna be making this. I'm telling you, the golden shallot oil is mind-blowingly delicious. Don't get me wrong, the other two, the chili oil, the scallion sauce, also good, but this right here, man, I didn't know about this stuff, so I'm gonna try to cook it and then we'll make the noodles afterwards. Okay. So this shallot oil consists of shallots and literally some kind of oil. That's the most basic recipe, so that's all I'm gonna be doing. This is an avocado oil, and I'm just gonna cook these up until they're a nice golden brown crisp. It's gonna bring out the sweetness, but first I'm gonna slice all 5 of these shallots into thin, but not too thin slices, and then get them fried up in the oil right now. So not too thin, not too thick. Cut it in half first. Keep the little root part so that it stays together. Put a tan. Even shallots make you tear up. Look, not too thin, not too thick. Be careful, shallots will make you tear up. So I've got my smallest pot here. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn up the heat to the highest. As I mentioned, I'm using olive oil. I don't know if there's a specific oil you should use, but this is what I'm using. And I'm just eyeballing this, honestly. Just waiting till the bubbles form. Starting to pop because I did add some shallots already. I'm just gonna start dropping them in there. So if you know how to make this oil, please comment below. Let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what I should do differently. I figure because I'm making a shallot oil, it's okay. I'm loading this thing up. Let this cook up until it turns golden brown. I know that it's going to take a while because there's a lot of moisture inside of the shallots, and there's a lot in here, but I have a feeling it's going to turn out real nice. One thing I am going to add though is some salt. Did mention to add salt into it. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to let this cook until it's golden brown. We'll see how it turns out. Aslan Brewing, classic lager. Cheers. Alright, so it's been about, I'm gonna say 15 minutes. It's definitely browning a little bit. Kind of reminds me of caramelized onions. So I'm just gonna let that cook till that is golden brown, hence I think the name golden shallot oil. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and get the eggs going. We're doing half-boiled eggs or soft-boiled. Put them into the boiling water for exactly 5 minutes. Set the timer. Then I've got my ice bath ready over here. Once those eggs are done, put them right in here right away to stop the cooking process. While those eggs are going, I'm gonna prep all the veggies. First thing I've done is I've removed the inside part or the stem of the kale. What I like to do is slice this part up real thin, and I cook it along with the noodles, so it cooks it down and cooks it real nice and soft. There we go. I cook up the stems first. I'll also do the same thing with the rest of the kale. I'm gonna throw it in with the noodles. I heard this thing about kale that raw kale isn't as good as slightly cooked kale, which doesn't sound logical to me, but I guess the cooking process releases some of the benefits. So I don't know. I've eaten raw kale before and I feel it's very healthy, but lately I have been cooking it up. Kale, done. For the onions, cut off the bottom parts. And what I do is cut it into 2 sections, as I always do. I like to remove that center part, toss it. Do it for all of them. Supposedly this helps with the bitter flavor. Timer just went off, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove these eggs, put it into the ice bath. So I wasn't paying attention to the shallot oil and some of them burned. I think I still saved it. Yeah, I mean, it's just barely there. It's similar to caramelized onions, so there's always some pieces that are gonna be a little darker. Smells amazing in here right now. Just gonna continue to mix these around. But what's done, there's some pieces that are borderline almost burnt. They're not quite blackened yet. It just looks dark because there's a lot in there. I'm gonna go ahead and strain this and then move on to the noodles. So a lot of people, they strain out the oil, and I don't know if they save the oil, but when I use this product, the oil is actually in there. The only reason I'm gonna strain it out right now is because I wanna stop the cooking process. So I'm putting it in here. Oh, that smells so good right now. Oh yeah, probably a little darker than I normally want. But I bet you that oil tastes amazing. Funny enough, even though those crispies are gonna be good, that's what I'm going for right there. All right, so this is a little darker than I would prefer, but all the flavor, at least in the product that I love, the Kai Dog one, is in the oil itself. Because I would say whenever I'm using it, there's barely any shallots in the oil. It's mostly all oil. Let's go ahead and try it. That's kind of the color right there. Looks like caramelized onions. That's just barely. I mean, if I left it in that hot oil for any longer, probably would have lost a lot of its flavor. It's got a sweetness to it, and it's just got a flavor that's completely different. See, I never really used shallots before. I only used it because a recipe called for it, or maybe I saw someone using it on TV or on YouTube. But man, I could just eat these. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll preserve these. They'll put them in a jar. Once this oil cools down, I'm gonna put this back into the oil, and I'm gonna use the oil and the shallots inside of my noodle dish, which the water is boiling right now. I've got all my ingredients ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep this and show you how I mix all this together to make the noodle dish that's just been blowing our minds lately. While those noodles are cooking, I'm gonna show you what I do. So I'm gonna put the chili oil first, mix it up a little bit. As I warned you guys, this is very spicy. This is for 1 serving, by the way. So 1 scoop of this, because I do like it spicy. Then the scallion sauce, kind of has a soy sauce kind of flavor profile to it. I'm gonna do probably about, I'm just gonna pour a whole bunch in there. Whoop. All right, then I'm gonna add the shallot oil. I do use quite a bit. Let me actually try that now. This is where it's at right there. And I just mix it all up. Let me go ahead and try that. Oh, there's the noodles. One thing about this noodle dish is it's a hot summer day. I typically like a cold noodle dish. So this is kind of halfway between a cold noodle dish and a typical hot noodle dish. I just remove it like this. into this bowl. Then put this over to the side. And what I do is I add a little bit of this noodle water, just a tiny little bit. That further activates all these flavors. And then it makes it a little thicker. Oh my God, that tastes so good. Then what I do is I just dump all this sauce right into this bowl. I'm gonna toss all this together. And what's gonna happen is a little bit more of the starches from this boiled noodles will mix in with the sauce, and then it's gonna thicken just a little bit, not too much. I'm not only trying to integrate the flavor of the sauce into the noodles, I'm letting it cool off. As this cools off, the sauce at the bottom will thicken a little bit too. And then just let it sit there for a second. This is already delicious right here by itself, but I'm gonna show you how I not only make it more delicious, but more healthy. I totally forgot the kale, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cook the kale in this frying pan, and I need to heat up the meat that I'm gonna put on here anyway, so no big deal. First, those stems. I'm cooking this in beef tallow that I rendered from some beef stock I made the other day. Put the leaves in there. This is also some of the meat that came off of those bones that I cooked for the beef broth. Put those in there. A little bit of salt. This actually works out perfect because I prefer fried kale compared to boiled kale. Okay, time to plate. These noodles have really cooled down. Oh man, they look so delicious. Kind of the point is that they are oily. So this is a drier, when I say drier, there's literally no broth in it. So the flavors are very strong. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add that protein and that kale. I know this is unusual, but I love putting tomatoes with this noodle dish. Just adds another layer of umami to it and color. I will go ahead and add these green onions. Crack the egg. Ooh, yeah. Get that in there. Always gotta salt your egg. There you go. My favorite noodle dish right now. Look at that. I mean, that's just amazing. Got the beef on there with the kale. Got the tomatoes. Got the green onions. Got the boiled eggs, of course. Got the noodles. I've literally been waiting days to make this for you guys. I've made it for other people, but I haven't been able to film it. And it actually worked out perfect because I ran out of that shallot oil, and I'm telling you, even though all this together is amazing, the secret is right there in the noodles. That's my first time ever making this. Now, not this dish, but making my own shallot oil. Wow, it tastes so similar. Now, it's called golden shallot oil. This is more like golden, dark brown shallot oil, but still delicious. And it doesn't taste burnt. It still tastes sweet, just like the stuff from kai dong. Oh my gosh, right there. Get some tomato. The tomato is actually influenced by the Japanese noodle dish called hiyashi-chuka. I don't know why more noodle dishes don't have tomatoes. Let's try this boiled egg too. I'm gonna just put it right back. In fact, now that I look at it, this looks very similar to the kai dong shallot oil. It's a little bit darker. There are pieces that are very dark brown, but man, it's so cool that I have my own. I'm gonna put this into a jar. The reason this gets used up faster than anything else, the chili oil is very spicy. So for the kids, I don't put that in there. I just put a little bit extra golden shallot oil. Kids, they love it. The flavors have settled a little bit, so it's amazing. Cheers.